Okay, Shauna, it looks like we have another awesome display of resources for educators. I'm seeing 50 states and some farm stuff. It looks like when I saw this 50 states, I thought of the 50 nifty United States, which is a different way of learning the states, and it stuck with me all these years. So
and
tell us
I do
more
have
about
a CD
what you have.
of the 50 nifty states, like the music and all that. Yeah, so absolutely. Music is definitely a way that we can learn some of this information. It's not on the table, but we definitely have that as a mode that some students may need to actually acquire. 50 states, it's a lot, especially when you do the capitals and then you start adding on additional information.
And hard to learn when you're learning from traditional textbook material. So tell us more about some of the adapted ways to teach this.
So I am going to go back and kind of start with what you said, like this traditional, like textbook type material. So again, in most classrooms, when you're teaching either social studies, government, history, geography, anything under that social studies umbrella, most often you're going to start with some type of material in your classroom, whether it's textbook, again, maps. Like so we have some, maps here of the United States, and so most teachers would have globes, maps, things in their classroom that would supplement their instruction. But all wonderful and good, but for some students, just not enough to really take in and learn the information. So I'm going to start actually with the textbook itself. So this actually is a textbook that has been published and printed in Braille format. So it does have Braille pages here, in addition to the maps that are also part of the textbook itself, and those are tactile as well. So some students may need this type of adaptation, so that's more of a tactile style of adaptation, while others may need more visual adaptations. And this, we'll talk a little bit about tangible materials like this, also like manipulatives as part of this. So there are lots of different variations here. So let's say hypothetically we're in that intermediate grade range, 4th, 5th-ish, 6th grade range, and we're starting to learn about our own state, which in this case, we're learning about Ohio here. So there's a lot of detailed information that students would need to know about their own state, the capital, what kinds of goods and services come particularly from the state, the geographic structure or region where their state, sits within the 50 states. So lots of information that would need to be supplemented. If they're looking at a larger like globe or a map that has like latitude and longitude lines, they're going to need to learn how to actually navigate not only the lines north, south, east, west, which I think is in here somewhere. So we've got the directional compass. We also have detailed information. If we say, what is a latitude line? What is a longitude line? There needs to be some visual support there to show us if they're truly reading a map that has those features, what those terms mean. But in this case, we're sort of focused on the geography, but we also need to focus on the individual states themselves. So in 5th, 6th grade, it's really about, in many states, the standards include learning about the 50 states in their entirety. So states and their capitals. So some students will need to, again, have their own set of 50 state cards, state by state. They're adding it on. This is actually a note-taking tool again, but in this case, this kind of combines vocabulary together with a note-taking structure. So I'm going to describe this a little bit more. So if the students get their own note cards as we learn every single individual state. They're probably writing some notes down on their cards. They probably have them on a card ring or something to keep them organized. And they don't get all of them at one time. So as we learn state by state by state, we're adding on, so it's not overwhelming all from the beginning. We're just getting the information we're learning in that moment, and we're adding it to the information that's in our prior knowledge based on what's already been taught. So in addition to the actual state shapes themselves and the maps, where we're plotting those on our maps, of course, they're learning where those states are within the United States in general. In this case, we're also looking at other things, like what are the goods and services that come from different states? What are our top producing apple states? Where do our tomatoes come from? What about oranges? How are all these grown? And what does weather have to do with the production and all of those things? So sometimes students are learning deeper information. They start to learn about agriculture. What does it take for a crop to grow? They may start to learn about like we said, which states have the production of the most products, and how does it get here? So transportation may actually become part of the learning as well. So how do we, if it's within the 50 states, how does it get to Ohio? If it's outside of the United States and other continents, other countries, how does that product also get to us? So a little bit of research, possibly depending on the student's personal interest in products, like, oh, my favorite whatever is this, where does it come from? So we can also personalize this for some students.
And these templates can be used for different, as teachers are digging deeper into certain areas of exploring and learning states, there's different versions based on what they are trying to teach. Okay.
Correct. Yeah, these are, so the symbol set that we're using, these are primarily Boardmaker symbol based. But what we've done here is we have added on additional symbols as we're learning. And this is where the note taking comes in. So a student isn't writing pages and pages of notes about like what's happening in Nebraska and what are their products, or Ohio or whatever. We're actually putting icons or visuals onto the cards to help them remember, I remember now that in California they produce whatever, and I can refer back to it. I can get onto my card ring. I can actually take a peek. Oh yeah, I remember learning about that. So the note taking is a little different here, and it hopefully will stay with the student, and they'll be able to, take a peek whenever they need to reference that information again. For some students, they do really truly need tangible supports. They need to be able to feel the product. So if we're talking about oranges, we want to be able to give them a representation, see the image of the orange, possibly in an icon like this.
And have it written on their note card. Yep, and have it all connected.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe we're having oranges as a lunch item that day, or something of that nature. So helping students really comprehend what we're learning about, and then give it context with what we're supposed to be learning for other subject areas. So again, language and literacy are all tied together. We can use all these symbols then if we're asking questions. Which state? And put a choice array out there. Which state of these 3 or 4, or of all of your choices, produces the most wheat, whatever. And so students can actually use those communication symbols too.
Great. Yeah. Thank you. This is great to connect the dots for all of this, and see all these examples of how this curriculum can be adapted.
Yeah. And truly any teacher can take the materials they have and really think through, how do I expand them? What do my students need specifically? So you're almost like adding in layers of support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Fabulous.
Shauna.